Welcome to Conscious Chronicles, where I explore the profound mysteries that lie between life and the infinite. Today, I invite you to join me on an inner journey as I delve into the extraordinary near-death experience of Ranelle Wallace. On October 9th, 1985, Ranelle and her husband attempted to navigate a fierce snowstorm over central Utah in their single-engine airplane. Disoriented by the storm, they tragically crashed against a mountainside, leaving Ranelle seriously injured. Despite being critically injured and in a dire condition, she somehow managed to crawl for miles through the harsh terrain. She passed out several times during her journey and experienced a near-death situation. What followed her physical departure has captured the hearts and imaginations of thousands. Ranelle's vision, a breathtaking encounter with her yet-to-be-born son, reveals a tapestry of love and spiritual connection that transcends the confines of our mortal existence. Stay with us as we share excerpts from her compelling book, The Burning Within. For further insights, you'll find links in the description below, including additional details on Ranelle's journey on her Facebook page. Let's open our hearts and minds as we step into this remarkable narrative. As I died, at that moment, I was suddenly drawn into a narrow tube, hurtling through it feet first. The space was so constricted that terror gripped me. It felt as if my very body was being pulled apart from the inside. The speed was overwhelming, indescribable, and unlike anything imaginable on Earth. I felt as though I were streaking past entire galaxies with vivid colors and brilliant lights nearly brushing against me, each intensifying my fear. Then, amidst the roaring rush, I began to hear voices. It was as if other travelers accompanied me, even though there was no room for anyone else. I sensed a single silent presence nearby, someone whose being I knew without seeing. Abruptly, the voices ceased, and a rapid montage of images, words, and ideas burst before my eyes. It was a profound sequence drawn from the depths of my own life. In that flash, I experienced every significant moment with astonishing clarity. I didn't merely remember these events, I relived them. I was that person once more, feeling the love and pain of every interaction with my mother, father, siblings, and everyone who had shaped my existence. This overwhelming review went far beyond a simple recollection. It bestowed deep, personal insights, knowledge about me that no book in the world could ever contain. I understood every reason behind every action I took in my life, along with the profound impact those actions had on others. A part of me began to anticipate moments, events I had long dreaded, only to find that many of these fears never came to pass. I realized that I had already taken responsibility for my deeds. I saw myself repenting sincerely, yearning for God to remove the heavy burden of guilt, and marveled at His sublime love that could forgive and cleanse me so effortlessly. Then, unexpected and equally harrowing scenes unfolded before my eyes. I witnessed, in excruciating detail, the ripple effects of my missteps on those around me. I saw how I had let countless people down, friends and family whose promises I had left unfulfilled. I remembered how I brushed off commitments with a careless, "I'm too busy," or "It's not my problem." That cavalier attitude had inflicted real pain and heartache on others. Pain I had never fully understood until that moment. I observed a dear friend who had suffered immensely in her life. Once, she had bathed in a beautiful, spiritual realm before coming to this world, albeit with hesitation. She was promised the love and support of family and friends, and she embraced life for the sake of growth. I now saw that I was meant to be one of her guiding lights, a friend chosen to help her navigate life's challenges. Instead, my neglect and indifference propelled her into further mistakes and deep sorrow. I recognized that by not honoring my commitment to both her and me, I had inadvertently compounded her grief. Until that moment, I had never realized that evading my responsibilities was, in its own way, a profound failing, a sin of neglect. My mind spun with questions as I witnessed these truths laid bare. I also recalled a woman whom a local church leader had asked me to visit periodically, simply to check on her well-being. I knew her well, yet I had always feared her constant pessimism and bitterness, convinced that her negative energy would be too much to bear. I avoided her, certain I could not handle the weight of her despair. Now, I saw that this encounter was not random. It was orchestrated by higher powers. I was exactly the person she needed at that time, and my absence had deepened her sorrow. I relived her sadness and disappointment as if they were my own, understanding that by fleeing my responsibility, I had missed an opportunity for mutual growth and healing. I also revisited memories of my own acts of kindness, those moments when I offered a smile, a kind word, or a helping hand. Although these gestures sent out waves of hope and love, they were few and far between compared to the neglect that had defined so much of my existence. Many of the great things I believed I had done were ultimately self-serving, performed only when it was convenient or when my ego stood to gain. This intense, panoramic review of my life unveiled a tapestry of both my shortcomings and my rare moments of grace. A journey that forced me to confront the consequences of my actions and revealed the deep, intricate connections between our choices and the lives of those around us. As the life review ended, I saw every deed I had ever done in vivid, immediate detail. The negative moments loomed, haunting and terrifying in their finality, while the positive ones resonated with a reward and happiness far beyond anything I had imagined. Yet, despite this overwhelming clarity, I found myself longing, not for judgment, but for release. I wanted to dissolve into the agony of self-indictment. The fires of remorse began to consume me, and there was nothing I could do to stop them. Then, as if in answer to my despair, a single pinpoint of light appeared in the distance. A tiny speck among countless others, yet its brilliance shone like no other. Instinctively, I moved toward it, drawn by an emanation of love, hope, and peace that my soul had long craved. I needed that radiant light. In that moment, the narrow, dark tube I was traversing transformed into a tunnel that gradually opened before me. Suddenly, the light burst forth, filling everything with a dazzling brightness. I was hurtling toward it at an impossible speed, and all I could think was, "Oh my gosh, it's brighter than the sun. I tried to close my eyes to resist the overwhelming force, but they would not obey. In an instant, I was immersed in the light, as if struck by a nuclear explosion. Every particle of my being was pierced by the brilliant energy, and I experienced an uncanny transparency, as if I were laid bare to the universe. My skin felt unscathed, and though my eyes still ached, I remained wide awake, floating within this sea of light. The love and serenity that enveloped me were far sweeter and finer than anything I had ever known. I was transformed, refined, purified, and made whole, while the traumas of my past faded away into a distant, peaceful memory. Then, an image began to form in the distance. A woman, dressed entirely in white, walked steadily toward me. Her hair, a cascade of brilliant white, and her luminous face exuded a warmth that banished any lingering fear. As she drew near, her smile radiated an even greater love, inviting me to know her. I heard my name, Ranelle, but her lips did not move. Her voice resonated directly in my mind. Ranelle, she repeated, more insistently this time, and then softly added, "It's Grandma." In that moment, recognition washed over me. Before me stood my grandmother, my mother's mother, though she looked nothing like the frail, ailing figure I remembered. Instead, she appeared vibrant, full of life, and almost ageless, as if in the prime of her existence. Her once sickly demeanor had been replaced by an aura of radiant beauty and strength. The realization hit me suddenly. My grandmother had passed away a few years before. And then, the unthinkable truth became clear. I was dead. Every element of this experience, the cascading colors, the overwhelming life review, and this brilliant transformative light, fell into place as a natural progression into the next world. This was not a mere dream or a drug-induced vision. I felt more alive and aware now than I ever had in my physical body. Eager to understand more, I began to wonder where everyone was. Weren't there supposed to be people singing hallelujah, embracing me with open arms, welcoming me home? Before I could ponder further, my grandmother giggled, a delightful wordless sound that echoed in my mind. "Everyone is quite busy," she said softly, her tone playful yet assuring. "Come on, you have so much to see." With that, she reached out her hand, and I felt an irresistible pull forward into this new realm. A realm where every moment, every memory, and every act of love had led me to this transformative juncture. I interrupted my inner reverie. But what about Jim? Jim was a dear friend who had been killed in an automobile accident several months earlier. I hoped that if Grandma were here, she might explain what had become of him. "What about Jim?" I repeated, yearning for an answer. Then, in the distance, I saw him walking toward us. Instantly, I longed to run forward and embrace him. Before I could, however, my grandmother raised her arm firmly and said, "No, you cannot." There was an undeniable power in her voice, a power I could not defy. I asked, why not? And she explained that it was because of the way he had lived his life. Jim had now come closer and stopped about 10 or 12 feet away. He was dressed in his usual earthly manner. Jeans and a blue shirt, unbuttoned at the mid-chest. I couldn't help but think, my goodness, that's risky. Do they really let you dress like that in heaven? He smiled, and even though he didn't shine with the same overwhelming light or power as my grandmother, I could feel his genuine happiness and contentment. He entrusted me with a message for his mother. He wanted me to tell her to stop grieving over his death and to know that he was happy and still progressing. Jim explained that he had made choices on Earth, decisions he knew were wrong, that hindered his growth. In the van accident, when his head struck a rock and he was killed instantly, he was given a choice upon arriving on the other side: remain in the spirit realm or return to Earth. Realizing that his growth had stalled and that returning might even dim the light he had acquired, he chose to stay. He asked me to explain this to his mother. Though I hesitated at first, deep within I knew that I too had no intention of returning. Then he mentioned that he had a great deal of work waiting for him. With that, he turned and walked away. I could tell he was very busy, engaged in matters vital to his ongoing growth, even if I couldn't fully understand their nature. I turned to my grandmother and asked why she had prevented me from embracing him. She explained that this restraint was part of his self-imposed limitation. "The powers we possess are self-given," she said softly. "We grow by our desire to learn to love and to accept things by faith, even when we cannot prove them. Our capacity to accept truth and live by it governs our progress in the spirit and determines the degree of light we carry. No one forces light and truth upon us, nor can anyone take them away unless we allow it. We are self-governed, self-judged. We have free agency." She continued, "Jim chose to limit his own growth on Earth by rejecting what he knew to be true. His involvement with drugs, both using and selling, harmed not only himself but others as well. Though he had various reasons for his descent, he was fully aware that his choices were wrong. He repeatedly chose darkness over light, and as a result, his spiritual light here is diminished. Yet he still can grow, to find joy, and to receive all that he is capable of. However, he knows that his capacity for progress and happiness is not as great as those who embrace more light. This is part of his self-imposed limitation, but even with these constraints, he's choosing to grow, and he is happy." At that moment, my grandmother extended her hand once more and said, "Come quickly." I reached out and paused in astonishment as I looked at my hand. It appeared as clear as transparent gel, yet within it, light flowed like streams of luminous clear blood. Only the light did not run in the irregular patterns of veins. Instead, it shone through in steady, radiant beams. My entire hand sparkled, and when I glanced down, I saw that my feet, too, were aglow with the same brilliant light. They were unburned, perfect, and whole, radiating a dazzling, beaming glow. I looked at my grandmother once again and marveled. Her light was even brighter than mine. Every part of her seemed to radiate extraordinary brilliance. Even her dress shone with a pure, glowing white. Moments later, as we strolled hand in hand, an awe-inspiring panorama unfolded before us. A garden so magnificent that no earthly paradise could compare. I had seen beautiful gardens in California that had once taken my breath away, yet they paled in comparison to this miraculous vista. Before us stretched an endless expanse of radiant hills, their surfaces covered with deep, shimmering green grass. Every blade stood crisp, strong, and charged with an inner light, each one unique and perfect, welcoming me into this wondrous realm. It was as if the entire garden were singing, Flowers, grasses, trees, and every other living element vibrated with glorious tones, rhythms, and melodies. I didn't so much hear the music as feel it, resonating on a level beyond ordinary perception. My grandmother and I paused to marvel at the scene, each silently acknowledging that no language could adequately capture the beauty before us. I sensed a subtle urgency in my grandmother's eyes as she remarked that time was growing short. "You must go," she insisted. "Your mission isn't complete." I protested, "No, I'm not returning to that body. I'm not going back." In response, my grandmother extended her arm with authority, and a rift tore open in the space before us. Through the opening, a young man emerged. At first, he appeared confused, as if unsure why he was there. Then his eyes met mine, and his expression shifted from bewilderment to stunned disbelief. "Why are you here?" he asked in a trembling voice. When I offered no answer, his initial shock gave way to overwhelming grief, and tears began streaming down his face. I felt his sorrow deep within me, and soon, I too was overcome with tears. "Why are you crying? Why are you here?" he repeated, his voice thick with emotion. In that moment, I instantly understood that my refusal to return to Earth was causing him profound sadness. He believed I belonged on Earth for him. His name was Nathaniel, and he explained that if I didn't go back, his own mission would be hindered. He showed me his path, a journey where my role was to open doors for him, to guide and encourage him. "I will complete as much of my mission as I can," he said softly, "but I will never fulfill it without you. I need you." My heart ached at the thought that my stubbornness was fracturing his destiny, moved by a deep and immediate love for this young soul. I promise, "Oh Nathaniel, I swear to you that I will help, I will return, and I will do everything in my power to support you. I will open those doors, protect and encourage you. I will give you all that I have. Nathaniel, you will complete your mission. I love you." His grief quickly transformed into gratitude as his face lit up with a radiant joy. "Thank you," he whispered, his voice trembling with relief. "Oh, thank you. I love you." Before I could fully respond, my grandmother gently took my hand and began to draw me away. I distinctly heard Nathaniel call out, "I love you, Mom," even as he walked away, still smiling through his tears. My spirit soared with both love and sorrow, knowing that I was an essential part of his puzzle, yet also painfully aware of the cost my decision had wrought. Then, my grandmother spoke once more, her voice imbued with final, timeless wisdom. "There is one more thing I need to tell you. Tell everybody. The key is love. The key is love." She repeated this gentle mantra 3 times, imprinting the message onto my soul. Then she released my hand, and as I drifted away into a deep, enveloping darkness, the word love echoed in my mind. I found myself weeping as I left that realm of light, glory, and unconditional love. The last vision I retained was that of her outstretched hand and her luminous smile, a lasting reminder that love is the key. What an extraordinary near-death experience, one that ranks among the most fantastic I've ever encountered. Despite the agony of a tragic end, the journey that unfolded, meeting her radiant grandmother, reuniting briefly with her unborn son, and the poignant encounters with Jim and Nathaniel, reveals a universe where every soul plays an essential role. For more on this remarkable account, be sure to visit neardeath.com, where Ranelle shares her near-death experience in greater detail. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the thumbs up, leave a comment, or click that subscribe button. These small gestures help YouTube understand that this video is worth sharing. And if you truly enjoyed it, consider clicking the super thanks button. Until next time, thank you for watching until the very end. I look forward to sharing more with you in the next video. Take care.